We are about to start our second session of Gathering Threads on day one. And just to give you a short brief about what inspired Gathering Threads at KCC, when the education team was discussing this, and we thought that why Gathering Threads and why National Handloom Day? So we thought that, each thread that is spun or that is stretched or that is knotted, each one of it actually holds the weight of histories. Histories which are the legacy of labor, it's the legacy of lineage, it's the legacy over time. And that's why we thought, let us curate 2 days where we can have people who are icons in their own sphere, who in their little small way have made such a difference to handlooms and textiles in our country. The second session, that's why today, is curated very differently from the first one where we had Sanjay Garg from Raw Mango. I take this opportunity to introduce the two people who will be in conversation with Ina Di this afternoon. For us, we are deeply touched and honored that we have Kallol Datta amidst us here at KCC. Kallol has been a singular voice in fashion. A Calcutta-born person, he is an artist, a clothes maker, whose voice and work actually transcends what is known as conventional couture. Educated at NIFT and St. Martin's, his creations draw from deep research and care for clothing traditions across the length and breadth of the world, shaping garments that actually have narratives of their own. With sculptured silhouettes and rooted socio-political inquiry, Kallol's oeuvre defies any kind of trend. He invites us to reflect, he invites us to have dialogues, and to reimagine the body and its entire adornments. We are delighted this afternoon to have amidst us Kallol Datta. I invite you, Kallol, to grace the stage. Joining him, someone with whom I share my alma mater is Malika Dudeja Varma. Malika has been taking on the legacy of her mother. For us, she is an icon in the sphere of the revival of Katha embroidery. And she is also now the champion here in Kolkata, where she's working tirelessly to keep intricate Katha embroidery and give it a name not only in Bengal but across boundaries and all over the world. As director of Malika's Katha collection, she really and truly continues her family legacy and I'm sure makes her mother proud every single day by promoting Katha not only as art but also as sustainable livelihood for the rural women that they work with every single day. Based out of the city of Kolkata, Malika blends heritage with contemporary fashion, bringing the beauty and stories of Katha stitches to global audiences. Malika, it's my honor to welcome you here on stage at KCC. And joining her, someone who has been our pillar of strength when we were curating Gathering Threads, it's Ina Puri. Please join us.
Thank you again. Thank you so very much. Priyadarshini and the entire team. I have had occasion to meet, apart from Priyadarshini, Tirna, the others also who are part of the library committee, working on Gathering Threads under Priyadarshini. And it's been a complete joy to see their enthusiasm, their dedication. So that has been a pleasure. I'd like to start with Malika, only because Malika's work reflects, in a sense, the ideas, the vision that her mother had first familiarized us with. And this I say because I've known Shamlu for years. When I was working on the Raj Bhavan book, 200 Years of Glory, years ago, Viren Shah was the governor then, Shamlu was doing the most beautiful kathas for the Raj Bhavan. Raj Bhavan by this time had run out of their art. Various people, we shall not name, had disappeared with the works of art that were hanging on the walls. And then Shamlu came forward and she made some exquisite kanthas, which we later put up in the display areas. I'm so very happy, Malika, that you've taken over from Shamlu, that you're carrying on her work. Just to give me a sense, to give us a sense of what you do now, I would like for you to tell me about the difficult areas, COVID, times like that when people were without employment, people who have been working with Shamlu, who've been working with you. How was it? How did you even get them to work? How did you communicate?
Hi, everyone, and Ina Di, it's lovely to have you here because I've known her all my life. Richa, thank you. I think this is a very important few days that we are discussing handlooms, textiles, embroideries. I hope we can celebrate National Embroidery Day one day. That is my hope and aim. My mum is a legacy, and what she did in her time when there were very few people doing things like this, she's 87 now, she created a platform, and she created a very, very strong platform. And her platform was really something which was like a chicken and egg story. She sort of chanced upon Kantha. She knew about Kantha, but she chanced upon Kantha. And there, once she realized, and she went to the homes of the artisans, she realized the need also to empower. So it is like where we are, we have 1,000 women under us. When Mum started, she had 5, and there were only about 1,000 women doing Kantha at that time. I don't even think commercially at that time, which was 35 years ago. Today we have 1,000 and there are more than 60,000 women doing Kantha in Bengal. And the biggest challenge, Inadi, I feel today is, for me personally, is our commitment to these girls. The commitment to produce this level of Kantha, the commitment that when they finish their work and they bring it to us, we pay them, and we are paying them through maybe 2 years of work. When I sell, how I sell, if I sell, I don't know. My bulk, my stock is huge. But that's the commitment I have made. It is the commitment of not just revival, but of empowerment, of financial empowerment. For them to have a voice in the house, a voice in the village. A voice in a home where the ceilings are not even high enough to put a fan on the ceiling. So, you know, it's very difficult. It's very difficult because I get my same designs back on a sari being sold to me for 500 rupees with the kantha. May not be the same quality, but it is selling. So it is also our endeavor, and we've achieved it, that if a gara can be sold for 1,50,000, why cannot a kantha be sold for 1,50,000, which has taken my girls 2 years to make? COVID and all, we managed. We survived. We managed.
How did you communicate with people? They wouldn't have had smartphones.
You know,
and
I'm telling you, I love Bengalis, and I love Bengal, and I'm so glad I'm in Bengal, because there is a cultural understanding. And this is not to make all of you happy. I just reached out to all my NRI friends, and they just bought. And we had our team leaders go in special cars, give them the fabric, used courier services. We had the same turnover that year, which is unbelievable. Not even a rupee less. Everybody knew my mom, everybody knew the brand, and they bought. And they bought, and we went online. And of course, I killed my designs going online. We'd never gone online before that. But that's okay. You have to be more creative and create more.
But I was very pleasantly impressed to see at the Bengal Biennale that you
Yes.
had participated
Yes.
and your
The
work,
Ramayan.
the Ramayan work at Victoria Memorial
Yes.
alongside the contributions from very important
Yes.
practitioners from across.
Absolutely. And the
country.
Ramayan takes about 2.5 years to make. And we were also part of the Venice Biennale, where our piece is now at MoMA. Um, so these are feathers in our caps and feathers which go directly to the girls, because we are very conscious and aware of actually telling them about all this. It's not just that we take the accolades and sit there. However, the most important thing for us is that the work doesn't die. The most important thing is, like I think Sanjay said, there is different types of katha. Like there is different types of polyester and there's rayon and but that's fine. Why not?
Malika, you just said girls. Do only girls work with you
Yes.
for Kantha?
Yes.
Boys
yes.
don't?
No.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we have. So it is a legacy which, so interestingly, the ladies send their husbands with the stocks to us and we love it. So they bring and দিদি আজকে আমার না শাশুড়ি আসতে পারেনি বা মা আসতে পারেনি শরীর একটু খারাপ very good please come but we mostly
That's
1,000
interesting because
yeah.
even with Shakila,
Yeah.
who does collages
Yeah.
and who's such an important artist, I think, from Bengal,
Yeah.
it is her earning that, that's a livelihood for the entire family. And in your case also, it's the girls who are, the ladies who are earning.
And we also are kind of a microfinance organization. So earlier we were giving loans for marriages. Now we are giving loans for education, for the computers, for things in the house that can help educate the women. So that's a huge change. That's a huge thing. The mother is understanding the need to educate the child and also pass on the kantha.
Malika, what is your take on what we saw at the Venice Biennale? This time, the Chanakya school was participating and Manu and Madhvi Parikh's works were on display.
I need to get in there. That's what my
But
take is.
have you also thought of working
Yeah.
with artists? I mean,
Yeah.
who designs your kathas?
So, Inadi, we have actually 3-4 verticals in this. One is what I'm wearing is we have revived an old piece. In this, there's a very distinct style and a very distinct kind of looking back and creating from what there was, say maybe 100 years ago. For 75 years of independence, the Ministry of Culture made us do 75 pieces of designs, those are stunning actually, that were about 75 years old. We recreated them. And those are absolute masterpieces. I thought I'd never sell them, but I had to, because, it's all about the finances at the end of it. We have one line which is just by them. Like the Ramayan, Mahabharat has gone down. People don't want Mahabharat so much in their house, but all our Ashtasakhis, our Durgas, our Akchala Durga, our 5 days of Durga, different forms. It is there in the original Kantha form. The village life, how they draw, what they do, the colors, dancing Krishna, Vatika, everything is in their form. That is the original true style of Kantha, where the artist is the draws and also does the embroidery. But then we also have people who cannot wear so many figures. So we stylize. And we bring in the geometrics and we bring in everything which goes also not only to Indians who can't wear so much of color and can't wear so many figures. It goes abroad, it goes outside Bengal, and the geometrics are very popular. Then we have things like the Tree of Life. which is again a combination of them and us, the artists and us. They come and sit with us, we discuss, we create those pieces. And finally, we are working with a lot of beadwork, a lot of embellishment, a lot of kalamkari, a lot of batik, a lot of hand painting. So we're all designers.
Absolutely. Malika, what is your take? Living in Delhi, we often see some very talented and gifted kantha makers come to, say, spaces like the Dastakar, the Crafts Council, especially Dastakar, their melas, and beautiful designs, beautiful combinations. So, do you also work with collectives like that, or do you have people who just work exclusively for you?
So I think Ina Di, Sabyasachi told me this a long time ago when I cried to him and I said, our designs are being copied and, other people. He said, that's a compliment, move on.
He says that.
Yeah, he says, just move on from there. So we have a tough enough time supporting our 1,000 women. It's very difficult to go beyond. Very difficult. It really is very difficult. If you come to my mom's house, you will see a room full of so much kantha and you get nervous, like, oh my God, is she ever going to sell this? But we do sell it somehow. We have people who understand why our prices are more. We pay our girls that much more. Our commitment is to pay more for the eyes, for the back, for the fingers, for the neuropathy, for everything that happens to them. And they're still reviving and they're still going on and they're doing the best work that you can find.
Interestingly, I think that embroidery is beginning to find its place, at least in the Indian biennales and exhibitions, because I have personally worked with Bapi Das.
Yeah, of course.
And I saw his work, of course, at the Kochi Biennale some years ago. And basically, it's about embroidery, and he does very interesting work. Is there anyone in your group who stands out as an artist individually and doesn't work according to some design or something that you have laid out for them? Is there anyone who does work?
All of them. I think we work in a very simple manner. We have about 10, 12 team leaders. And under those 12 team leaders, we have groups, cohorts of about 100, 15 various parts, even near the Bangladesh border, a little bit in Shantiniketan, Sundarbans, Greater Kolkata. All our team leaders. They create. Fabulous. They create. They have a sense of course, they also go wrong. And that's where we come in.
Yes.
The pinks and the oranges sometimes are just, I don't understand. But that's fine. That's how they used to do it. And that's how they will do it. And that's how we sell it.
Kallol, many congratulations. I'm hearing great things about your exhibition that's currently on in Bombay. You are represented by one of the finest galleries, Experimenter, and I look forward to seeing your exhibition soon. Let's begin by asking you this question about weaving communities that have been impacted by recent socio-economic mandates. I would like your comment. I'm straight away diving in with a very different question, because we will talk about your practice a little later. But first, your ideas.
I think, as far as I know, there are locally around 3 lakh weavers or people working in the weaving community, let's say in Uttar Pradesh, out of which 77% of them are Muslim. And out of the 3 lakh, I think around 22% are women. When the demonetization debacle happened, followed by the goods and services tax, that kind of pushed out most of the women from the weaving community out of the industry, so as to speak. And then, you have these daily calls for economic boycotts, denial of access to any form of employment, all of that happening. And most of them, let's say, are producing textiles for traders who belong to the dominant forces, the Hindu community. The traders are normally from the Hindu community. And that's where there's this big disparity. So even, let's say I remember they launched this initiative called the Ustad Yojana, or like taking a cue from Vietnam and doing the one district, one product initiative. But none of them really have been implemented well at all. So weavers don't know how to access those benefits, right? And that's why, like, when I used to work in fashion till 2018, and then I stopped. But even then, I used to find it really odd where all of this was happening, and designers were, let's say, sourcing or interacting directly with the weaving communities in different parts of the country. But none of them were able to take a stance to advocate or to...
You're putting it in the past tense?
Pardon?
You're-
I'm still now, yeah, but there are some really remarkable makers, like, let's say, Swati Kalsi, who works with the Sojini embroidery, and from Jammu to Bengal, all over, how she's really been working at, not just skill building, but skill sharing as well, which I really appreciate. So there are designers like that.
Kallol, before we move to your present avatar, tell us briefly, because I'm sure our audience would like to know a little bit about your career as a fashion designer, slightly, if we can.
Sure. I was running a label for 10 years, I think. And I remember in 2012, I'd done the finale show at Fashion Week. And for the Indian industry, that's like kind of like the big deal at that time, or it was. And I was really young in the industry then, I think 4 or 5 years. And I was like, now what next? And I remember immediately after that, I was the only mainstream designer putting models in hijabs and selling those hijabs to stores around the world. And I thought it was really odd that I was the only one, because how are you discounting a massive segment of the population by telling them, you really don't matter to us, so we won't make clothes for you? And I remember putting men in hijabs as well, because I really enjoy when I take away the option of choice, when I take away choice from a man's wardrobe, where they have to listen to someone else as to what they have to wear. That was at that time. But what I was really bothered by, I couldn't spend much time on research or traveling enough, taking time off to, conduct site visits and things like that, which is why I made the shift essentially.
That's interesting, Kallol, because in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, this was a fashion show organized by JIC some years ago. There was no hijab. I mean, they were trying to do things in a very different way,
So I had
inspired by, I think,
yeah, because
some
I
of what
showed
was
in
happening
I
here.
was supposed to show in Bangladesh for their fashion week, and somebody had leaked images of my fittings where the male models were wearing hijabs, and then the Ministry of Culture had sent cops to my hotel, and that's when I had to get into a car and move.
Yes.
But then, like I say, like with Bangladesh also, because we are in constant conversation with makers and artists and researchers, and this entire colonial hand, where we talk about West Bengal co-opting the Jamdani,
Exactly.
or the Dhakai muslin. Jamdani was basically, what do you say? It was legitimized by villages around Dhaka. So when we talk about undivided Bengal and Jamdani, it's such an oxymoron, right? The same thing when we're comparing Jamdani of, let's say, Dhaka, Tanda, Banaras. There's this amazing writer called Saiful Islam, who wrote a fantastic piece for the New Age Bangladesh, where he also talks not just about Jamdani, but also Katha. He talks about the Dhakai muslin.
He did a wonderful exhibition in Dhaka at the museum with the muslin.
Yes.
And it was an incredible show, and I hope that one day we can show it here. He's a friend, a very dear friend. And Shahidul's brother-in-law, incidentally.
That's how I got to...
Yes. Kallol, using the Palestinian kafiye as a case study for identity representation via the handmade. Comment?
Yeah, I mean, today when we, let's say, go to any protests against the settler colonial rogue state, a lot of the kafiyas or kufiyas are made in China. It used to be handmade in Palestine. Right now, there's just one factory called Hirbawi, but they produce it only on the power looms. And ironically enough, their warehouses in Germany. So they're made in Palestine, they're moved to Germany, and then they're shipped out globally. But that's also such a great case because it was nationalistic, how the cafe came about, it was originally taken from a pattern, I think, in Iraq, right? And then it got involved in this resistance struggle. And that's why I keep on, every time let's say if I'm talking or, lectures or things like that, modules, I keep on comparing how a nationalist symbol like the cafe, and then comparing it with, let's say, in fascist or post-fascist societies, like let's say in India, where it's not nationalism anymore, but there are two things, like a self-orientalism, but also like hyper-nationalism.
I was coming to that, in fact, that you've spoken critically about hyper-nationalism
Yeah,
and...
because, I've seen makers and artists run and take selfies with, Ministry of Textiles or ministers and things like that, but not being able to ask questions because they are politicians at the end of the day, right? They're answerable to us. Instead of deifying them, we'll always hold them accountable. And then sometimes good things happen, like the Andhra government just announced the day before that they're going to provide 125 crores. So to take care of electricity needs, I think 200 units for handloom and 500 for powerloom, which is great, right? Like that's a proper start where the money is going directly to the weavers instead of having all these psychotic initiatives which look great on paper and in closed halls.
Do you feel we have enough textile museums in the country? Or even crafts museums?
Yeah, but then I think also people will never get interested in craft or making or textiles.
Or the making of craft.
Or the
even.
making of it until the way we think change, because we still look at a lot of them as unskilled labor, which it really
That's
isn't, right?
That's right.
And then also realizing different things like textile behaves differently in the Indian subcontinent. It ages faster, it degrades faster. People like to talk about how we have access to all of neighborhood tailors and providing a certain level of restorative or palliative care to our textiles. But that's not happening right now, is it? Like, it may be happening in tier 2, tier 3 cities, but not really in urban centers where fast fashion or accessibility to, I think we were talking about reliability of silk production, where India wouldn't require silk to be imported anymore. And that's like the biggest sham, because we're still importing silk from China. Prices are insane if you look at it per meter. Anybody who's a maker would be able to tell you. So none of it's going to change until we ourselves are able to think differently about, as you mentioned, the making of it.
Yeah. Kallol, when it comes to your art, like this exhibition that I haven't seen and I look forward to seeing in Bombay, tell me a bit about this exhibition and the concept behind it. Also, did you do the work yourself, or you're working with other collaborators? How did that work?
Yeah, so this exhibition kind of branched out from a research that I was conducting which was part of the previous solo.
Yes.
And this takes a deeper look into, let's say, sumptuary laws or religious edicts, imperial proclamations and mandates across East Asia of a certain time period. But then also, while you are viewing the works, you get to draw parallels with what's happening in the current right now in India and other fascist regions around. And I exclusively work only with social enterprises. So like in Kolkata, there's this amazing place called Ektara Creates. So I work with the girls there, and that's why I like the term knowledge sharing and building together, because
essential. That's
we're working, but
yes.
then they're also teaching me a lot of things.
Correct.
So, like different techniques, and because I never came from a crafts background, my craft during fashion days were pattern cutting, and those techniques are still employed while I'm producing works in the visual arts, which is why I still call myself as a maker or a clothes maker, because those principles are still being used when I'm
working on your art projects.
Because there's always drafting.
Are these people based in Kolkata, or have you also experienced or explored the possibility of working with people elsewhere in other parts of the country?
I do. So like there's another social enterprise in Delhi which works with a lot of kids who are aged out of orphanages. So once they're 18, they have to leave. And he runs a metal workshop. So all my metal works are produced over there.
I see. You've researched dress regulation from across countries, whether it's Japan, Iran. Looking at India now, what parallels do you see, and how might state power, through its gaze on clothing, shape or distort handloom practices?
I mean, it's so easy. Like what I'm wearing right now today, I'd be seen as an arsonist. Because I remember in 2019 at the political rally in Dumka in Jharkhand, the person who occupies the highest seat in our country said those who wear black clothes are arsonists, right?
Both of you, actually, as a matter of
Both of
fact,
us.
as it happens.
So we're seeing like clothes, especially with native wear, actually not even native wear, but seen as markers. Like I remember we had the opening at Experimenter on 10th of July. And on 11th July, I was busy reposting stories of people who had attended the show and the opening, and they were posting. And at the same time, I kept on getting news articles of how this Dalit kid had been killed because he dared to wear jeans, and the upper castes were angry in his village that how dare you try to dress up like us, right? So that's still going on. Or the hijab mandate, which was in Karnataka, which got overturned, I think, in 2023, if I'm not mistaken, where girls were denied access to education simply because of what they chose to wear.
Which brings me to the next question: is working with or wearing handloom still a political act? Or has the meaning of resistance shifted now that handloom is as likely to be found on runways, hashtags, policy decisions, as in local hearts?
I think a lot of it is superficial, and a
Yeah.
lot of the actual messaging gets lost under terms like sustainability and ethical practices. I mean, you're making something which is textile based. It's not sustainable, let's be honest. What you can do is adopt sustainable practices within your craft, and that's the most you can hope for. But then a lot to do with handloom, like I mentioned, you have to provide it a lot of support because the fabrics just don't perform a certain way, the way we're used to with a certain lifestyle. So a lot of times it seems like an apology when you look at designers using handloom because the garments look terrible, hideous, mediocre. Um, and which is why, like, when you were talking earlier, I feel a lot of that has to you have to constantly work with the weavers who are actually makers and craftsmen and artisans themselves, so that they're able to take independent decisions and weave or make something or cut something according to the way they like. Yeah.
So, when you're curating this major exhibition in Australia in the year 27, is there any concept that you have in place? Is there any idea about the people you'll be working with? Will the metal workers that you just spoke of,
So for
maybe
this
so
one,
many
I'll be
others, will they
working.
be collaborating with you?
I remember talking to the organizers about, again, the same thing of working with makers in post and current fascist societies, even with Australia, because if you open up any Australian-based website, it acknowledges the lands of the aborigines in which, but that's again all lip service, right? Because in 2023, the referendum didn't pass in Parliament. So that's why I'll be working a lot with Indigenous Aboriginal artists and artist collectives in Australia, whereas two curators from Australia, they'll be coming down to India and identifying.
So you'll be
Indian crafts.
collaborating with the curators
So
as
I
well?
think it's a curatorial. We are 7 curators, yeah, for the entire Triennale.
Wonderful, wonderful. Any questions? I will, of course, continue to talk to both of them, but feel free to join in and ask away. You have two incredibly gifted people sitting here. So, for instance, your metal workers, do they get a chance to come and see the show? Or, I mean, how are they aware of the work that you're going to be showing in another space like Bombay?
Oh, always, like, because they always ask, what is this and how is this? And I remember I curated something with Indu Anthony, this brilliant artist in Bangalore, where she works with, she had opened a leisure space called Namakatte
Where is
in
this?
Bangalore, next to Banaswadi, behind Banaswadi station. And it's just a place where women can just come and relax, right? Because those public spaces have been taken over by men. So women can't really relax in peace anymore. And with them, she does a lot of textile-based work with them. So we made sure we were able to bring them to the exhibition site where, because they were the makers, where they were able to see the works and have a look and, walk around and, yeah, engage with visitors in the space.
Malika, are you aware that today a lot of the traditional weaves, like the baluchari, are not being made here in Bengal anymore? And in fact, I was at a baluchari conference here in Calcutta and met Nasir Bhai, several other people who are now weaving the balucharis in Benares. So what do you...
Absolutely. And I do know that, and I also do know that a lot of the designs that, like he was talking about the jamdani all over the place, even in Kantha, coming back to Kantha because that's my subject, any running stitch, whatever size, whatever style, whatever, in Punjabi we call it gudri. The gudri, which has these big tankas, is also Kantha, which is being done in Gujarat, it's being done in everywhere. Rajasthan, a lot of it in Rajasthan.
Though the fulkari is very different.
Pulkari is very different. Pulkari I'm not comparing to, but I'm talking about these very, very thick stitches, which is the, see, we've just finished, we were a part of the Festival of Quilts in Birmingham. My daughters are there, they just haven't come back yet, because Kantha is the first form of quilting. I mean, all of you here know how Kantha was originally, it was Kantha the quilt, which has become Kantha the stitch now. But the Kantha the quilt, all over, is still being made. They are still using those Purane fabrics or new fabrics, and the stitches are that big and thick thread. So it's all over. It's cross-cultural. I think it's become, Bangladesh is doing beautiful Kantha, just
been,
absolutely
yes, for years.
stunning, and
Yes.
has been. And very different from us now. Originally, I'm sure there was similarity, but now I think the Kantha in Bengal has gone to a totally different kind of, I won't say level, but a different kind of style. The Kantha in Bangladesh is absolutely gorgeous. Then all the designs, the cross-cultural effect on all our crafts is so high and so much that we've been asked to train girls in every state to do Kantha. They come to a certain point, they create, we are not that big and organized to look after them, but they manage to sell on their own. So we've done it in Chhattisgarh, we have done it in various places, various states of India, where we've created little groups, and they have started Kantha because Kantha is the running stitch.
Though the Kantha was originally just something that we used. My mother made a Kantha when my son was born, and it was just, to cover the child.
That's what I'm saying. The Kantha that was from the old saris, the soft saris, the threads were taken out of the borders. They were put together. They were either made as a gift. In fact, I have this beautiful piece which was showed at Birmingham. This girl made it originally for her grandfather. Took 5 years. And she's written this beautiful message in Bangla in the true form of Kantha. It's coming back next week. So that quilt, we are trying to bring back in pure cotton. We are reviving. We are doing, again, there aren't many buyers for it. It's difficult to sell those pieces. But we are starting baby wraps. We are starting the asanas that were made.
Yes.
All that is happening. But the pure cotton, malmal kantha from dhutis and from sharis is all happening now in the original form.
Which is heartening. Kallol, just a question. How difficult is it, or has it gotten more difficult for people of certain communities to work under, rapidly changing political conditions.
For sure. And it's not just because with our country, we don't have just one form of discrimination, right? It goes across, it cuts across caste minorities, religious minorities, sexual minorities, gender minorities.
Gender minorities.
Right? And all of us fail to realize, most of us fail to realize that all the struggles are interconnected. So we're not going to get queer rights until we make sure women have their rights in place. Because, it's a step-down effect of sorts also. So you have where communities are ghettoized, denying access, all of that's still in play.
Still in play, but at least it's being talked about. It's hopefully
not
being
enough
talked
also,
about.
because I think it's just the way we live our lives, let's say in urban centers, where we're all in our bubbles. So it's very, and this conversation is happening just amongst us, which is why I really enjoy talking with students and those who are not generally from the industry, because then the conversation is not just limited.
Goes further.
Yeah.
How about the younger generations? How do they? I mean, when you're addressing students or young people, what is the response? And also, is it always in an urban space, or do you also go to villages or to rural areas?
Only during conducting research, but otherwise, not really, no. But I really enjoy talking to those younger than me,
people.
like let's say Gen Zs, only because they have so much to bring to the table, I feel. But it's also such a great time to have conversations and make sure that there's at least somebody who looks like me, who dresses like me, who talks like me, talking to them, because I never had somebody like me be in conversation with younger me.
Can I add to this a little bit? Again, my experience is Katha and women. For us, sometimes it takes 2.5 to 3 years to do a sari. Why is that? The other day I had a very, very generous client who came and said, so if this has taken 2 years, you're paying her 800 rupees a day into 365 days into 2 years. And I'm like, no, that's not happening. Why? But labor is 800 rupees a day. And I'm like, no, that is not happening. We are not being able to pay that much, because then what you're picking up now would be 5 times the price, and it's not going to sell for that. Interestingly, what he says about the gender equality or inequality is, our girls can only work for 2 or 3 hours in the day, max. In fact, Harvard Business School has done a case study on us, and it's on their website, because Dwar Pe Rozi, or income at the doorstep, is the only way we can get this Katha done. Because eventually, khana banana, pani lana, ghar ka safai karna is all the woman's responsibility.
Also, apart from her other
Yes, yeah. I thought you said also with the men. No, not with the men, just hers. So when my beautiful sari, which has taken 2 years to make, has a beautiful holy color on it, because she was trying to do something with, managing holi and or sindoor or haldi or, it's like we're sitting here, empowered women, empowered, again, I keep going back to women because that's what I know about. I don't know when there's going to be true equality, and when my girls can get 1,000 or 1,500 rupees a day to do the work that they are doing. Because there is, when they bring it in 2 years, they get paid in 2 years, or through the thing, but there's no question of per day work, because she can't do it. She just can't do it. So sometimes the orders we take, we get into so much trouble, because না দিদি করতে পারিনি কি করব আমার বউয়ের বাচ্চা হচ্ছে বা আমার শাশুড়ির হচ্ছে বা আমার বাচ্চা হচ্ছে বা whatever. So, and this is not, it's not something which is untrue. It is so real that it is all our responsibility.
Kallol, when it comes to dealing with the people you work with, you were talking about Ektara here and Delhi. So how does the payment, I mean, how does it work, the remuneration?
The girls don't work as long in a day, let's say male machinists or male sewers would do. If they are working for 8 hours, the girls will work for 6 hours a day, and that's also because, like you mentioned, they've got to take care of home as well. But it's a blanket rule where, irrespective of how many hours they work, they get paid the same as male sewing machinists or male sewers. Also, every time during lunch, I sit with them and I try to convince them how marriage is a patriarchal institution and they should never get married, right? Because then they lose that that sense of independence. And I try to talk to them about how a democracy will never work when it's capitalist in nature, right? A lot of them have learned about these things like socialism and things like that.
Do they have questions to ask?
Yeah. But then they also have these really difficult questions with me, like how COVID was way more difficult for them, even though, let's say, I contracted COVID twice, how it was more difficult for them, and how vaccines and all, accessing vaccine was such a privilege in this country.
Yes.
Which is so true.
Yes, so true.
They are able to have these conversations as well, which is why I really appreciate working with them.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions? We need a mic. I'm really intrigued and I have to see your show.
I just wanted to make a comment on economies. Inamashi, you were talking about daily wages.
Yes.
So let's this specific example of Kallol showing in a premier gallery somewhere in the country with the work that he's collaborated with artisans from a certain place. They get paid regardless of whether he makes money. So it is possible he's worked on this. In this case, it is very specific for about 2.5 years. Regardless of whether he made any money of it, and I know he did not because he did not sell anything from that body, he paid them.
Yeah, so that's what we do.
That is the same thing for you or anybody else. So oftentimes the economies of this act of making is actually reversed. So one imagines that, because he has this great national career, international career, and he's curating shows and he's so visible in the media, sometimes their monthly take home, maybe I'm making an assumption, could be more than how much he made that particular
That's what Sanjay was also saying about his own.
But of course, over time it'll even out and over time it'll work out. Yes.
We hope. Yeah.
But that's why, so Priyanka's one of the co-founders of Experimenter Gallery. I don't know if everyone knows here. They have this initiative called the Curators Hub. And this edition, Amal Khalaf, this brilliant curator, she spoke about how when she's working on a project, she tries to make sure that as a curator, she gets paid the same as everyone else involved in the project. So the artist, the production, and that was brilliant. I think, I hope to be able to work on a project like that where everyone across the board is paid this. Yeah.
Equal.
In fact, I was asked by Richa, what is your business model? And so if somebody replaces you, what's going to happen? So I actually this was last week, and I started thinking that since we don't take, my mom has never taken out of that. She's a mathematician, and she proudly says she lives on maths royalty. I live off my husband. And she asked me this question. She said, what if you had to be replaced? Would your company be able to run? Because you'd have to pay that person. And it got me thinking that that's a point. And if my girls who have gotten into it, will they do this in this, because they also need to, I mean, that's, I think Priyanka's brought up a very, very important point that,
Yeah. Hi, my question is to Malika ma'am. It is regarding that as I am just a buyer and consumer, I'm not associated with the weaving or crafting community in any way. So my knowledge may not be 100% correct, but as much as I know is that traditionally women are also associated with the weaving craft, but they are not given the prestige or the tag of weaver. It is always reserved for men. And women, they usually prepare the threads, they color the threads, and they sometimes even sit at the loom to weave, but they are not traditionally given the tag or the acceptance of being a weaver. At least it used to be like that. And the children of the weaving community, they did not used to be taught the art of weaving. But it has been a male-led sector. But Katha has always been a women-led sector. And as you said, that male members, sometimes they come to you to take the payment or to deposit the work. So do you see that hierarchy is reversed in the Katha sector? Like women, do they get the, um, not only the wage, the prestige or the tag of being the creator, or there also the money and the tag is handled by men?
No. I would, that's a great question. I think amongst the women who we know, and we interact with our women quite a lot. We go to the villages, they come to my mother's house, the house of Kantha now, it's known as. They are very proud of what they do. Hillary Clinton bought a beautiful little piece of Rabindranath Tagore and gave it to our chief minister. And that came out in the paper. And when these girls saw it, it was a huge moment of pride. I would say, this thing about men and women in India, I'm not getting into that because there's a huge, there are huge gray spaces but talking about the women, their confidence, their pride in the work, the pride in the fact that with my mother, who's a non-Bengali, they have been able to revive this work where even Bengalis barely gave it any kind of, place of pride at that time. Now they are so proud, they have all the respect, they have absolutely, they have a voice. They have a voice in the family and they are passing it down. It's difficult, but I see in my clusters, I've got younger girls. BA koreo ei kajtai korbe because it is badi theke korte pare. It is not affecting, in fact, that's one of our advantages. It is not forcing her out of the house, which she can't do. So she's happy to do it at home. So I think it's given a lot of pride to them, a lot of pride.
I think we can take two more questions. There's one over there.
Malika Di, there are most families, at least where I see in business families, like mine also, where our kids very naturally take to the legacy of carrying on what the parents have done or the grandparents have done, or pick up something from what the uncle and aunts have done. That's not a trajectory which I see very often from the artist community or from the weaving community. Like even in the conversation before this, the first thing what Sanjay mentioned was the minute the weavers are making money, their children are not continuing with weaving. They're moving on to other professions. So as a community, as all of us, what really do you think should be the way forward that our kids, when I say our kids, I mean the weavers' children or the artisans' children or the artists' children, even explore that as an opportunity, as a legacy which they can proudly take forward, not as a not-for-profit or an NGO, but as a business model, but something with pride.
Yeah.
So, that is a question which has been irking me for a while, where why is it that we are not able to create that kind of glamour, if I may say so, or that kind of legacy of continuity?
So, I think where Kantha is concerned, there is definitely a legacy which they are taking on. Otherwise, we wouldn't have managed to come so far. It is not only convenient for them, like I said, this Dwar Pe Rozi program, our structure is such, the calm reaches their home. धागा कपड़ा डिजाइन उसके ऊपर किया, this color, this stitch, यहाँ लाल, यहाँ green, यहाँ reaches their house. So it is very convenient. And Katha, if you remember, is a household craft, a household art, where the mother, daughter-in-law, sister, all sit together and probably do one piece. So I do see it being passed down. In fact, one of our very good team leaders, she lost her husband and didn't want to work. And we pushed the daughter, who's an artist, Baisakhi, and she's doing some incredible work. She's got married, she's having a baby, but she's continuing with the legacy very proudly. And the in-laws, who are very rich people, are allowing her to do this. I use the word allowing because in most cases they are not allowed. So she came full 8 months pregnant, said, Didi, amake 1 মাস শুধু ছুটি লাগবে, কিন্তু আমি জিনিসগুলো পাঠিয়ে দেব. So we were fine, ঠিক আছে, we will courier, porter, but we will continue the work. So I would say, I think Richa doesn't agree with my personal business model, which is okay, we will discuss that. But I think it's happening. I think we are getting very good quality kantha. And see, like I agree with Sanjay, where he said there has to be, you cannot expect somebody who can't do the washing, ironing and dry cleaning of kantha to be buying this. So they buy the kantha that they can wash, dry clean and, or not dry clean, wash at home and wear. So there is kantha for everybody, there is fabric for everybody. There is synthetic linen, which, you know, has to be ironed every 10 minutes. So they can't do that. So there's everything for everyone in this country, which is what I love the most.
One small question,
Yeah.
please. Actually, just one simple thing, like art and craft are blooming. Handloom is nowadays blooming. What has changed for artisans and weavers?
Well, for artisans, definitely their lifestyle. Oh yes, of course. Their standard of living has gone up. Their exposure to education, their wants are being fulfilled, and we pay high. We pay very high. We pay high to our artisans. So that also helps them. Some of them are still living so far away where there are no pakka homes. We can't do anything about that. They will not leave that because farming and things is their family work. But their own style of dressing, you come over and see one day when we do a meet, you'll be surprised. I'm always the worst dressed because I'll be in probably one cotton kurta and something, and these girls have come in the most fabulous clothes, full gehna pehen ke they will come. They're doing well.
So in that line, what I understand that the weavers cannot be paid their
Artisans, yeah.
The artisans
Yeah.
cannot be paid their full wages because they are not able to work 8 hours or
Yeah.
9 hours because of household work. They need to get involved in it. So in that line, what if we have clusters, more like as we have hubs in cities near their homes, more like working hubs or clusters where few women at some point of time get together, maybe for 4 hours or 5 hours together, and they work. Maybe that will give them that identity as well, sitting at home and just doing katha, or I'm going out, getting dressed up, and with friends.
So
How
I
will
want
that
to
work?
answer this. My daughters, who've taken on my mother's second foundation, one is She Foundation, which I have taken over. My daughters have taken over Calcutta Foundation, and they have 22 kutirs. Kutirs are these hubs where they're training people. So far amongst my girls, I have not seen them happy to come out of their home and do the work. Maybe that's the next change that will happen. Because किसी का छोटा बच्चा है, किसी के daughter-in-law का बच्चा, किसी का कुछ, किसी का, they would be happier, we have noticed, to do the work at home. But we have tried that. We tried to create a kutir in one of these kantha places. They were like, na didi kajta barite kore nebo.
I was talking about more like the Anganwadi concept.
They are happier. So that is why actually when Harvard came here, they were surprised at the success rate of sitting home and doing the Dwar Pe Rozi.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Malika. Kallol, before we end, and we are just wrapping up, I'd like you to share with us your plans for what's going to happen next. I mean, you've had this exhibition open in Bombay
Well, like
recently,
personally,
but
I
iske
thought as a
baad
country,
kya?
what's going to happen as a country?
Nahi, wo to
Yeah, like multiple
Allah
asteroids
Malik.
coming and hitting us, hopefully. But personally, like,
yes. No, no. What is the, as an artist, I mean, you know, you've just had this exhibition, you are curating in Australia year after next, but immediately, what happens next with your work?
I mean, I've gone back to producing, and again, I have a few research trips lined up. So yeah, just that's where I'm happiest, when I'm getting to conduct research.
Alongside your other plans. Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Kallol.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Malika. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you to Malika, thank you to Kallol, and definitely Nadi for giving us such an engaging session on the first day of Gathering Threads. I invite our chairperson, Mrs. Richa Agarwal, to felicitate both Malika and Kallol for giving away their precious time and giving us such a fabulous session. You belong to us, Inadi, you have no choice. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll take a break for lunch now. And for all the ardent devotees of textiles and handloom, just to give you a heads up about tomorrow, we open with Gaurang Shah in the morning, that's at 11, and that will be followed by a panel discussion where we have Papri Boshak of Sadaf from Shantiniketan, we have Parama Ganguly, and we have Inadi again with us to take us through that session. And after that, we have another session. So do join us tomorrow, because we are looking forward to another exciting morning here at Gathering Threads. And thank you so much for being here and enriching us with your presence. For all of you who are here with us today, just to let you know, we have the Karigari exhibition where we have over 35 stalls on the first floor with weavers and craftsmen. So do have a look before you leave.